I think some things changed tonight at lightweight at 155 with Nate Diaz. His first run, I don't know that Nate had kind of taken on the persona of his brother. He had some of that skill set, but he really feels like he's fighting like Nick now, and he's not going to the ground anymore. He got swept a lot in this fight against Donald Cerrone, but I mean, the volume of punches he wound up throwing by fight metric numbers, 362 punches, and it was consistent every round, about 119 to 122 punches. He landed 240 punches, 66%. And for Cerrone, who's got a good kicking game and likes to attack, he never got to attack.
Phenomenal performance by Nate Diaz, and I have to say I didn't see that coming. I had said, and actually on our radio show, the MMA Insiders, I picked Nate Diaz with the money on the odds. I said, hey, that was great value at over 2-1. You had to take a look at him. I thought Cerrone was going to win the fight, honestly, but Nate Diaz was a live dog. But boy, I never saw this coming. I mean, it was a total 100% performance by Nate Diaz. I mean, really give him a lot of credit. He just kept that jab out there, and he threw that 1-2 so much, and it was so reminiscent of Nick. If you just put a few pounds on him, you think it was Nick. Give him a little more hair and get some weight on him. I mean, he was cracking him, and I'll tell you, you could see in the first round, Cerrone was frustrated. He didn't know what to do. I think it wore down his conditioning as he's getting hit like that. And the Diaz brothers do that to you. I've described it before as Chinese water torture. And it's like punch after punch after punch, and you're just constantly fending something off. A very, very impressive performance by Nathan Diaz.
Is there a chance by the end of 2012 that we know Nick has a chance to be the champion? Could Nate be the champion at 155 with a couple of fights if things break the right way?
Steve, that's a great question. Beginning tonight, I would have said no. I would have laughed at you. I would have said no chance of that happening. I figured Donald Cerrone was going to win that fight. But as I sit here now, you can't discount it. We don't give the Diaz brothers enough credit for their punching power and their boxing acumen. And a lot of people look at them as jiu-jitsu guys who can throw some punches. But I'll tell you what, they're a lot more than that. Nate Diaz is kind of getting into that realm of Nick. I think he's where Nick was a couple of years ago. After Nick lost to KJ Noons, I think he kind of regrouped his career, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Nate. He lost to Clay Guida. He's coming back. He had a bad loss, I believe, to Jim Miller. But now he's getting back into it. I tell you what, he's going to be a tough guy to beat. He's a tough matchup for anybody.
Well, here's the thing. If you get caught up in the mind game and you don't go to the ground where you have an opportunity, and I know they're dangerous on their back, but I would rather be fighting in their guard than standing in front of them, having the hands go at you over and over again. And Donald Cerrone absolutely fell victim. He admitted it. Even after the fight in the press conference just a few minutes ago, he said, after all that trash talk, I wasn't going to the ground. I wanted to fight. Well, then you're probably going to lose those fights. You want to man up, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, I don't understand what he was thinking, especially in the third round. It's like, okay, your game plan is to stand up and slug with him, but now you're hopelessly behind. Donald had to think, he's behind, he's not going to win the fight. You got to do something dramatic. You're sweeping him, you're getting him down to the ground. Go down there and throw a big shot from the top and see if you can change the fight around, do something. Maybe you land an elbow. For him to just keep backing off, I think that was really bad calculation on his part, and I think a huge mistake. And I think Donald is a terrific fighter, and I still think he can come back and be a factor. But in the lightweight division, a loss now, Steve, is a killer. I mean, because there are so many good guys, and if you want to be in title contention, you get behind a lot of guys when you lose. So I think Donald still has a long way to go, and that was just bad judgment on his part tonight.